After nearly a decade together, this loving couple finally decided to tie the knot.
Everything was wonderful. They were happy.
They just seemed like a normal family.
Until a single gunshot shatters all their hopes and dreams.
He came in, pulled the gun on me, and shot my old lady.
They get the call that there's been a robbery and a shooting.
Police move fast to apprehend a suspect.
That's him. That's right there.
I was so thankful. I fell on my knee. I'm like, they got it.
It was just a big sigh of relief.
But as the investigation deepens, detectives wonder, do they have the right man?
How can I be two spots at one time?
I was completely boggled.
I felt like a fool.
Who's telling the truth and who's lying to the police?
How many lies can one person come up with?
August 29th, 2014. It's a hot and hazy day in the central Florida town of Cocoa, 45 miles east of Orlando.
Cocoa is a working class suburb, but it's got a pretty high crime rate.
Cocoa is more of a inner city kind of environment.
We have crime around here, like everywhere else. People sell drugs around here like everybody else. We're not a perfect city, but we try to make our city the best we can.
Still, dispatchers aren't alarmed to receive a frantic call from local resident Dennis Aviles at 7:30 that morning.
911, we get this emergency.
Oh, sir, the dude arrived in my house. He came in here, pulled the gun on me, and shot my old lady.
He was fairly emotional and frantic.
My girl is on the floor, and she's not breathing.
According to Dennis, the victim is his 32-year-old fiancée, Tanika Dupins.
Do you know where she was hit?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know where she was shot at?
No, I don't. And please hurry up, sir.
Okay, they're already, listen to me. They're already on the way.
By sheer luck, a SWAT team with the Cocoa Police Department is already in the area. And within minutes, they're knocking on Dennis's door.
Police! Hurry, she's in here!
The first unit on the scene was a SWAT team from the Cocoa Police Department.
That area is a high crime area. It's low income housing.
The SWAT team was executing a search warrant a couple blocks away.
Step up.
But, come on, man.
I need you out of here.
Any responding officer's first mission is scene security, to get all the occupants out of the home, to see if there's still a suspect on scene.
Back of the house is clear, sir.
With the scene secure, the team turns their attention to their victim.
31, we got EMS inbound.
21, Roger.
Roger that. Advise them we've got one with a pulse and send major crime.
71, Roger.
She was shot, but she was still clinging to life.
All her life, Tanika Dupins was never one to back down.
Tanika was not going to let anybody bully her. She's a fighter. Always has been. My mom had some problems with drugs when crack hit the scene.
My grandmother called DCF to come and pick up Tanika. Her father was notified, and then he came and got her.
She went to go stay with him and moved to Daytona.
Growing up in Daytona wasn't always easy, but Tanika's father did his best.
Her father took her in, took care of her, made sure things worked out as best they could, and was really a big part of her life.
Being raised by a single dad, Tanika always felt like one of the guys.
She's not like me, the girly girl. She was more of the kind of tomboyish.
She played sports. She loved to play basketball. She loved the softball. She would play football out there with the boys.
Though truth be told, Tanika's tough exterior concealed a softer side.
I call her a big teddy bear.
She was a very happy, cheerful person. When you were down, she could make you laugh. She'll come walk through the door and say something outrageous. She could bring life back into you.
Strong and caring, after high school, Tanika channeled her talents into a career in healthcare.
She was a person that would assist people who were elderly people to get from place to place and do things for them.
She would go over there and hang out and socialize with them. That's just a good person that she was.
Then in 2002, at the age of 20, life threw Tanika a curveball.
She got pregnant, didn't expect to, but things happen.
While Tanika took this added responsibility in stride, her child's father did not.
They split up on good terms because they was always good friends, but he was sort of like a player, a woman's man.
For the next 3 years, Tanika poured her heart and soul into loving and providing for her daughter.
Tanika was a very good mother.
She was excellent with the girls. She always made sure that her daughter did the right things.
She worked, but she don't like to ask anyone for anything.
Then in 2005, Tanika met the man that would change her and her daughter's lives forever. 24-year-old Dennis Aviles.
He was a nice guy, a little shy, quiet.
Dennis had a bit of a troubled past and had done some time for drug charges.
But Tanika felt that everyone deserved a second chance.
She never looked down on anyone. Everyone is different, and she always looked at things that way. So she was wanting to help him out.
She knew what it was like to have to do what it takes to survive. She wouldn't judge anyone for that.
With Tanika, Dennis let his guard down and opened up his heart.
When him and her would be talking, they would smile, be laughing and playing with each other. They had a pretty good understanding at the time.
By 2006, the couple had moved in together, and Dennis gladly took on the role of surrogate father.
He was good with her daughter. He would walk her to the bus stop, and sometimes he would be there waiting to pick her up also.
Dennis and Tanika spent 9 happy years in Daytona, but in the fall of 2013, they moved to Cocoa to be closer to her extended family.
All of us, we be there for one another. We try to help one another. She called and say, hey, I don't have no food. Then we're all going to come together and we're going to go to the grocery store and we're going to get something to put there. If she wanted to go somewhere and, she know which house to take her kid to where her kid is going to be safe and nothing that's going to happen. That's the type of family that we are.
The move to Cocoa wasn't the only big change for the couple. Shortly after settling into their new home, Dennis decided to make their family official.
But look, babe, for real, I've been thinking. You want to get married?
Yes.
Yes?
It's about time you asked. She cared about him. They were happy. They always did things together. Everything was wonderful.
But just when the couple's future looked brightest, tragedy struck.
Shortly after Tanika's daughter left for school, Dennis called 911, reported that someone had forced their way into their home, robbed them, and shot Tanika.
When I got there, Tanika was being put on a stretcher and taken to the ambulance to be taken to the hospital.
As the ambulance pulls away, detectives turn their attention to Tanika's distraught fiancé, Dennis.
He was questioned immediately about what exactly happened.
It came through, and one of them had a gun.
So there were 2 of them.
Yeah.
It was certainly plausible what he was saying, that there could have been a home invasion. It is a fairly high crime area.
When people want to rob you, you got to have something to rob me for. If I don't have nothing but a $300 paycheck, that's what you want to kill me for, $300? If I want to rob somebody, I want to go in there and get some thousands. And she didn't have that. She didn't have a lot for anybody. It didn't make any sense. Robbery gone bad for what? She don't have anything worth robbing for. You robbed her of her life, whoever it was.
But according to Dennis, there's more to the shooting than a simple robbery.
It's my fault, man. It's my fault.
Look, I'm sure you did everything you could.
No, you don't understand.
He was admittedly dealing cocaine from their residence.
It was some sort of drug buy gone wrong.
In the summer of 2014, after 9 years together, Tanika Dupins and her boyfriend Dennis Aviles were ready to take their relationship to the next level.
Tanika and Dennis had gotten engaged. They moved somewhere where her 12-year-old daughter could spend more time with family. Life was good.
But just a few months later, the couple's happiness now hangs in the balance.
The information we received through 911 was something to the effect that there had been a robbery and a shooting.
Tanika had been shot and was barely hanging on as EMS transported her to the hospital.
When detectives arrive on the scene, Dennis reveals the first real lead in the case.
The guys that shot Tanika, they've been here before.
He admits that he sold drugs out of the house.
Nobody's perfect. There was some drugs. They were just trying to make ends meet.
He said it was actually a drug deal gone wrong that turned into a home invasion, and in the process, Tanika was shot.
It wouldn't be uncommon for someone to rob someone to steal their drugs.
So you know who did it? Yeah, man. DJ and Twinkie, man.
He gives physical descriptions of these people, possible names, and so forth. And the police follow up on that lead.
While patrol officers fan out in search of the suspects, Dennis accompanies detectives back to the station.
Dennis wanted to give his version of events in order to help us locate the suspect.
He's very cooperative and offering as much information as he can to the Cocoa Police Department detectives.
In the interview room, it's obvious to detectives that Tanika's condition weighs on Dennis.
Could someone tell me how my fiance's doing?
Right now, we don't have an update yet. They're still working on her at the hospital, okay? So as soon as we find anything out, we'll let you know.
Though highly emotional, Dennis forges ahead with his account of the morning's events.
She got up to get my daughter rest because of school, my stepdaughter for school. I was still asleep at first. She woke me up.
He claims that he's in bed asleep, that Tanika comes and wakes him up and says, go answer the door.
DJ! Sir.
He stated that DJ had bought drugs from him in the past.
Dennis tells detectives that DJ was accompanied by a man he only knows as Twinkie.
He allowed them both in. DJ stated that he wanted to buy $40 worth of crack cocaine.
He had the money in his hand. So she takes the money.
Then, while Tanika went to put DJ's cash in the small safe the couple kept in the living room, Dennis says he stepped into the kitchen where the drugs were stashed.
And when I turned back to bring him his 40, he already had the knife drawn on her.
Give me that money.
Wait, Dennis!
Seeing the safe open and currency out, it became a crime of opportunity.
But according to Dennis, Tanika was having none of it.
I have a tough cookie. She was tussling with him. So I run over there to intervene.
Dennis says he didn't get far before DJ pulled out a pistol.
I'm like, hold on, man. Chill out, bro. I'm like, baby, sit down. Just, you know what I'm saying? And by this time, she was on the collapse mode. So I didn't let her actually fall. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you helped her down.
Right. I don't even know where she shot at.
Dennis tells detectives that while he held Tanika, DJ and Twinkie fled the scene with both the drugs and the money.
DJ was getting shit out the kitchen, and the other dude was getting the money, you know what I'm saying? And they hauled us.
Okay.
And it happened so fast. We on the ground, and I don't know how to do CPR or none of this.
The drugs and money weren't important. All he cared about at that point was Tanika.
He goes into how he tried to call 911, wasn't able to get out.
The phone did not pick up. So I rushed out. I went and knocked on my door.
A few minutes had already passed between the time that Tanika was shot and the time that we actually got the 911 call.
I'm trying to figure out, why did he shoot her? Was it for me? That's what I'm saying. I don't understand.
After spelling out the events that led to the shooting, Dennis gives detectives as much information as he can about the suspects.
Twinkie, you wanna know he did drugs. So I'm saying he keep his haircut low, nice.
They tried to get as much information as they could from him so that they could put out a be on the lookout alert. He goes into great detail.
I'm DJ. How tall is he?
DJ about right here.
According to Dennis, DJ also had one very distinct feature.
He had a middle finger that stuck out. It wouldn't close.
They call him Bird, man.
Dennis also gives detectives an exact description of Twinkie's car.
Dennis said Twinkie drove an older model Gold Crown Victoria.
There was a bolo put out for the vehicle.
Next, Dennis attempts to describe the gun used in the shooting.
According to Dennis, DJ was carrying a large caliber handgun.
It wasn't no 9. A 9mm smaller. Well, something big, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but it was an all-black gun. It wasn't a revolver.
When detectives asked, Dennis denied owning any weapons, but he did admit Tanika owned a gun.
Dennis is a convicted felon, and he can no longer carry a weapon or be in possession of ammunition. But Tanika, even though she lives with him, she could still own and possess a gun.
She bought a gun?
Yeah. It was a 9.
A 9mm?
Right.
Where was that stored?
She usually had it on the couch by her.
Okay.
And I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
No,
if it wasn't on the couch, where would it be?
Usually on the end table, because she sits on that couch.
Though Dennis is adamant the gun used by DJ wasn't a 9mm, police wonder if the chaos of the shooting is clouding his memory.
Detectives suspected that Twinkie, who according to Dennis had only been armed with a knife, might have grabbed the gun on his way out of the house.
At the end of the interview, detectives have one last question for Dennis.
we need a search warrant or consent from the owner, even if it's an active crime scene, because the defense will have the entire case thrown out without it.
Do you give us consent to go in and search for any evidence?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind.
He wants to help law enforcement find these robbers.
Y'all need to catch them motherfuckers. DJ and Twinkie, y'all got to catch them.
Okay.
During the interview process, there were points where he was left alone in the interview where investigators could come in and out and go confirm information or gather intel to help along our police department. And he had his phone with him.
When the interview comes to a close, Dennis calls Tanika's family to ask for an update on her condition.
They ain't giving no information how she doing. Everybody telling me the same shit. That shit that they don't know yet. They don't know how she doing. That's all I got, man. She all I got, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to hold my composure together, dog.
Dennis also passes along the identity of her shooters.
It was Twinkie, man. The nigga in the he was driving the Crown Victoria, bro. DJ B with him.
We believed we had 2 suspects at large at the time. And Coco's a very close-knit community. So anytime there's a major incident, the whole neighborhood's out on the street. A lot of times we rely on our community to help us solve crimes. Unfortunately, that when it comes to violent crimes or crimes that are narcotic related, not a lot of people want to speak to the police out of fear for their own safety. But everybody's out wanting to know what happened.
Our family was so in an uproar. We all was like, okay, where do we need to start looking?
Half of my family was looking for DJs.
As Tanika's family begins their own search for DJ and Twinkie, detectives receive a possible lead on the pair's whereabouts.
They're searching that particular area to try to locate those suspects.
I received information that a vehicle was located in West Cocoa that matched the description of the suspect vehicle.
These guys were armed and dangerous. They wanted to get them off the streets now.
Just hours after the shooting that sent 32-year-old Tanika Dupins to the hospital, detectives in Cocoa, Florida are searching for 2 suspects.
Tanika's fiance, Dennis Aviles, identified the shooters as 2 men he'd sold drugs to on several occasions.
He told me that a gentleman by the name of DJ and another man by the name of Twinkie came into the residence to try and buy $40 worth of crack, but ultimately ended up robbing them.
Dennis's description of the 2 men and their car quickly produces what appears to be a promising lead.
I received information that there was a vehicle matching the description Dennis had provided in West Cocoa.
They wanted to make sure they were on the right track, so detectives drove Dennis out to the location to see if he could positively ID the car.
Unfortunately, it turns out to be a dead end.
Dennis said that was not the vehicle that was used by Twinkie and DJ.
Back at square one, detectives decide to verify the source of their information.
He claims to be cooperative, but could be lying to the police. It wouldn't be incredibly uncommon for that to happen in that particular area.
While officers transport Dennis back to the station, detectives once again turn their attention to the crime scene.
There was evidence of a struggle within the apartment.
There were tables on the floor, the safe was open, there was money on the floor. So it appeared as what Dennis had told us had actually taken place.
Evidence technicians also found a 9mm under the couch that matched Dennis's description of Tanika's gun.
The fact that the 9mm was located under the couch near the front door made perfect sense.
Dennis said she usually kept it on the coffee table, so detectives figured it probably got knocked off during her struggle with Twinkie.
Next, detectives question the neighbor who'd helped Dennis call 911.
He knocked on my door and begged me to let him use the phone.
How did he seem when he came to the door?
He was a mess. I think he was really in shock.
When he placed the 911 call, he appeared to be very frantic, very emotional.
Do you know they were selling drugs over there?
Kind of figured there was kind of people in and out all the time.
Convinced Dennis is telling the truth, detectives return to the station and redouble their efforts to track down their suspects.
They did research to try to see who used a street name or an alias of DJ and Twinkie.
They never really had a clear explanation of who Twinkie was. But there are about 3 or 4 individuals that the police are aware of in the area that go by DJ.
Dennis's description helps narrow the list down to 1 man.
We believe DJ to be Daniel Wade.
Wade had a long criminal history as well as a hand injury that matched what Dennis described.
All detectives need now is for Dennis to make a positive ID.
The police take a photograph of that person and put it in what's called a photo array of 5 other people that appear similar in age and appearance and so forth.
But before detectives can show Dennis the lineup, he receives some devastating news.
He received notification that Tanika had passed. He became very upset and very emotional.
But tell me this, man. But please don't tell me. But please.
This is a typical reaction for somebody who learns that a loved one has passed away.
He's crying, he's emotional. She was the most wonderful thing in the world to him.
It appeared that he became angry. He was crying into his hands, and he made the statement that he felt like he was going to throw up and be sick.
Once Dennis collects himself, detectives present him with the photo lineup.
Take as much time as you need to look at each photograph.
It doesn't take long for detectives to see they're on the right track.
Man, that's him.
Okay.
He immediately picked out DJ.
He was the one there this morning.
That's him.
He's the one
That was who at my house.
who pulled the trigger.
Cocoa police immediately converge on DJ, aka Daniel Wade's last known address.
Police, open up! DJ was located and he was arrested for the murder of Tanika.
We're within the first 10 hours of this case, and to have somebody in custody is awesome.
But is it the right man?
I swear to God, ma'am, I did not do nothing, ma'am. How can I be 2 spots at one time?
By the afternoon of August 29th, 2014, police in Cocoa, Florida have arrested Daniel DJ Wade for the murder of 32-year-old Tanika Dupins.
According to her fiancé, Dennis, DJ had shot Tanika earlier that morning in what he described as a drug deal gone wrong.
Anytime you get a positive ID in a lineup and you can get that person into custody quickly, it's a very exciting feeling.
DJ was located and transported to the police department and brought up to the interview room where I conducted a post-Miranda interview with him.
Face to face with detectives, DJ is adamant they've got the wrong man.
Ma'am, I did not, man, I swear to God, ma'am, I did not do nothing, ma'am. I swear to God, I'm on.
Somebody being accused of a crime, they always want to prove their innocence. So it's not anything out of the ordinary. It's like, okay, let's hear what you have to say.
Have you ever bought dope from him before?
Honestly, yeah, I bought dope from him before.
He did admit to purchasing drugs from them in the past, but he was adamant that he was not at that house this morning, and he could provide an explanation of where he was at the time that everything occurred.
I can tell you everywhere I've been, I got people that can vouch for everywhere I've been. I was at Motel 6 a couple hours last night. I probably left there around about 3 o'clock in the morning. Look, camera.
Who were you with?
Twank. Me and Twank, he got a Mercury.
By his own admission, DJ was with a man whose name and car closely matched Dennis's description of the shooter.
You didn't go by
I
there?
swear to God, no, ma'am. I promise to God, I did not. I promise to God, man, on everything I love.
So why do we have witnesses saying that you were there?
Man, that's a lie. I was not there, man. That's God honest truth. I was not there.
He was adamant that he didn't attempt to purchase drugs. He didn't rob Tanika or Dennis, and he certainly didn't shoot Tanika.
I ain't even had no fucking gun. Shot somebody. Man, listen, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be funny. I know you're a detective, but you know, man, listen. Hey, you thought with a whole bunch of crack in the crack stem? I tell you, that's me. But ma'am, I have never shot nobody in my life. I have never resorted to guns in my life.
He went into more detail that he didn't own a gun. He's never used a gun. He had been shot before, and he didn't want to even mess with a gun.
That's not my MO to have no gun. I don't even play with guns, period, man.
Okay.
But according to DJ, detectives don't just have to take his word for it.
When y'all got that call, I was in handcuffs, man. I was in a raid this morning. When that call came through, man, I was in handcuffs on the front porch, being laid down by the SWAT team
DJ claimed that he had been detained that morning on an unrelated search warrant served at a friend's house just a few blocks from Dennis and Tanika's home.
Police had found drugs and paraphernalia at the house, but DJ had nothing on him, so they eventually let him go.
How can I be 2 spots at one time? But they say, give me a break. And they let me go, man. And I had already been in handcuffs and been in 20 or 30 minutes.
When detectives follow up with officers from the SWAT team, they confirm DJ's story.
We were able to confirm through SWAT and the operators that yes, DJ was on scene. He was in handcuffs when we were responding to that homicide.
The same people who had DJ in custody at the search warrant were the same people who responded to the call for Tanika and Dennis.
He has a pretty rock solid alibi. He was on the front porch in handcuffs with about 10 members of the SWAT team as witnesses.
And with that, detectives have no choice but to let DJ go.
He didn't do it. They didn't charge him with it. I'm like, what?
You're disappointed because the person you thought who did it really isn't the person that did it.
Which brings up a glaring problem.
Why is Dennis saying that DJ was at his house, stealing drugs from him, stealing money from him, and shooting Tanika?
Before detectives confront Dennis with this glaring discrepancy in his statement, they pay one more visit to the crime scene, where CSIs have just made another discovery.
They find a .45 caliber handgun in the trash can outside.
This could be the murder weapon.
The location of the gun leaves detectives puzzled.
Detectives wondered why the killer would have ditched the murder weapon right outside the crime scene.
Typically, when people commit an act like this, they take the weapon with them and dispose of it later.
But the shooter didn't just leave the gun behind.
So we locate a bullet, a shell casing, and the gun in the trash can.
Usually you won't find all 3 things together.
It just didn't make sense to detectives.
However, a thorough search of Dennis and Tanika's bedroom seems to tie it all together.
The paperwork for the 45 was in the closet in their master bedroom.
They found multiple boxes of .45 caliber ammunition.
It would give us reason to believe that the gun that was found in the trash can actually came from within the house.
All of which points to one likely shooter.
He was claiming that he was a witness and presumably also a victim of this crime. But his first version of the story was a total lie.
I had probably been talking to the person responsible for killing Tanika since 8 o'clock in the morning.
Less than 24 hours after the shooting that claimed the life of 32-year-old Tanika Dupins, detectives in Cocoa, Florida have come to believe that her fiancé, Dennis Aviles, has been lying to them.
Dennis originally told detectives that Tanika had been shot in what he described as a drug deal gone wrong.
They brought in the guy that Dennis ID'd as the shooter, but he had a rock-solid alibi.
The tide changes when they find the 45 in the garbage pail that was outside the house. And that's when the house of cards started to fall.
They know Dennis is up to something. He's trying to cover up some tracks because the stories that you're telling just is not adding up.
But why would Dennis kill the woman he'd loved for nearly a decade? That evening, before detectives returned to the station, a neighbor provides a possible clue.
I left for work before she got shot, but I heard what came before.
There was, in fact, some sort of disturbance the night before the homicide.
They were carrying on half the night.
All they heard was yelling. That's all they heard, like an argument going on.
Detectives figured it was time for Dennis to do a little explaining.
Back in the interrogation room, detectives start by questioning Dennis about the gun.
Here's the thing. We found a .45 caliber handgun in your trash.
Mm-hmm. He nodded his head in acknowledgement, like he had already known it was there. And that really sent up some red flags for me.
Do you know how it got there?
45.
Mm-hmm.
No.
He denies any knowledge of who the .45 caliber belongs to and says he's never seen it before.
Dennis maintains his story, even when detectives offer him an out.
If it's yours, I don't care if you're a convicted felon, I'm not charging you with it. I just need you to tell me for certain whether or not it's yours. And if you put it there, that's fine, because you didn't want to get caught with it. I'm not worried about that. I'm not charging you with it. I just need to know for a fact whether or not it's yours.
No, it's not.
After I asked Dennis about the gun in the trash can, and he acknowledges that it was there, I know that my line of questioning is now going to change. So I took a break, and he asked if he could have a cigarette.
Please, I haven't had a smoke in like 3 hours.
Okay.
He wanted to go outside and smoke, which, obviously he's going through a tough day. We decided that's no problem.
Detective Ben Erskine accompanies Dennis outside.
I stayed with him and just kind of let him hang out and chill. And his body behavior just completely changed out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, he started trembling. His hands were shaking real bad.
You okay? Listen, I need to tell you something, man. We gotta go back inside first.
I decided right then and there, let's go back inside. If you're going to tell me something else happened, you need to do it on camera.
It's about to get real, okay? But this is our one chance. You understand that? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law.
We sat down, I read him his Miranda warning, and that's when his whole story changed.
Last night, she argued with me.
She's screaming at you?
And she was cussing. She cursed me in front of the neighbor, and I just sat there. I know the neighbor told you. I said nothing to them. I just sat there and was smoking my black. And she just carried on and carried on.
Tanika had supposedly learned that Mr. Aviles was selling narcotics to a girl by the name of Kia. For whatever reason, Tanika did not trust Kia or considered her a threat to their relationship.
I told you not to talk to her anymore.
Babe, ain't nothing going on.
Are you serious? Do you really expect me to believe that shit?
Yeah, man, so what?
Dennis also stated that she became very angry and she had a temper, and she was very jealous of his communication with other women. She accused Dennis of stepping out on her.
While Dennis's story fits with what the neighbor heard, he adds a new wrinkle.
Dennis claimed that while he and Tanika were arguing, Tanika pulled out her pistol, the same 9mm that detectives later found under the couch.
He stated that she began waving it around while she was, belittling him and speaking more about, she felt that he was quote unquote stepping out, talking to other women or selling drugs to other women.
It was dark, so I know the neighbor didn't see it, but I was so scared.
Dennis told Detective Erskine that Tanika had eventually calmed down.
I smoked a joint on the porch, and we watched TV, and she fell asleep, I fell asleep.
Though according to Dennis, it was only a temporary reprieve.
This morning, she woke me up. She said DJ was at the door. So I'm thinking somebody at the door.
Ain't nobody here, baby.
I know.
I turned around, and she had her 9 pointed at me.
Dennis says he instinctively grabbed for the gun.
The rage she was in, she would have killed me.
He claims that there was a struggle with her over this gun.
Dennis said that's how Tanika's 9mm ended up on the floor under the couch where detectives would later find it.
Though according to Dennis, Tanika wasn't disarmed for long.
When I knocked her 9 out of her hand, she grabbed the other one.
He states that she ultimately produces another firearm, which was believed to be the .45 caliber firearm, and he states that it just went off during the scuffle.
He admits that he shot Miss Dupins, but that it was an accidental shooting.
It's a harrowing account, but detectives aren't buying it.
But stop fucking around and tell me what happened, the truth.
Confronted by detectives with new evidence, Dennis Aviles has completely changed his story about what happened to his fiancée, Tanika Dupins.
Dennis claimed that Tanika had pulled a gun on him and that he had managed to knock that one away.
But somehow she produced another firearm, and then during that scuffle, a shot fired.
Detectives aren't buying Dennis's new story.
I feel like you're trying to tell me the truth, but you're giving me pieces of it. Does that make sense?
Put on the spot once again, Dennis changes his story a third and final time.
Suddenly, Dennis admits that the .45 Tanika supposedly pulled on him was actually never in her possession.
It was in the drawer.
Other than the location of the .45, the rest of Dennis's story remained the same. He went to the door and supposedly Tanika pulled a 9mm on him while his back was turned.
Now I hear a click, click. She say, motherfucker, I hate you. I can't stand you and this. You're not finna make me look like a fool.
Dennis said that he felt that she would actually kill him.
Which, according to Dennis, left him little choice but to grab the .45 caliber pistol and shoot first.
He claims that he's really the victim and she was attacking him, and he shot in self-defense.
Detectives are still skeptical.
How did you know that gun was in the drawer? It was cracked.
He says that we see the butt of a pistol that he didn't know existed.
I didn't even know she purchased two. I didn't see that one until that morning in the jar.
This is just entirely too much for the detectives to believe.
Right at the moment that someone is pointing the gun at him, he's in a place in the house where the first door he opens, there's a .45 caliber. He's just not credible anymore at that point.
I didn't know I shot her. I thought I was just shooting in the area where to scare her to make her put down her gun.
It's ridiculous. I mean, that's the story that he tells, as if she was going to kill him, and he's going to shoot at her just to scare her. And that would be the end of it.
How many lies can one person come up with? To sit back and think of all day long, police questioning you and going through all of this and bringing other people in.
After the third story Dennis provided about how things transpired, we knew at this point that he was the one who shot and killed Tanika. I immediately called the state attorney's office, who said, yes, you have enough to make that arrest. Go ahead and take him into custody.
Based on what you told us, I'm going to have to charge you with the second-degree murder. Okay?
I'm just grateful that they believed in themselves to know that, hey, something's just not adding up. I'm glad that they just continued to believe that they knew something wasn't right with the story to keep trying to drag it out of them.
When he was placed into custody, he didn't show much of a reaction. He wasn't showing any more emotions. He wasn't flamboyant. He kind of accepted it. And he was taken out of the room without saying anything else.
There were no further questions asked of him, only because we already had 3 inconsistent statements.
News of Dennis's arrest takes Tanika's family completely by surprise.
My sister told me they got him, and I sat up in the bed, and I was like, who? Who was it? She was like, it was Dennis. And I could remember sitting up in the bed and crying because I'm like, we've been running around this city asking for people's help. They kept bringing the killer to justice, and you did this the whole time?
I'm stunned. I didn't want to think that it was him.
As they prepare for trial, prosecutors believe their case against Dennis is strong.
And there was the tampering of the evidence, and then there was the false statements to the police.
The defense does everything in their power to get those statements thrown out of court.
They did file a motion to try to suppress his statement, but that was denied by the court because he was there completely voluntarily. Nobody coerced him. Nobody threatened him. He was giving all this information completely of his own accord.
And it was Mr. Aviles who made the overture to speak. And then they, of course, went through the cautions to him about having an attorney present, and he rejected that and proceeded to go forward.
However, in one final pretrial hearing, the prosecution suffers an unexpected setback.
The judge found that there wasn't enough evidence for second-degree murder.
Rather than second-degree murder, the judge reduces the charge against Dennis down to manslaughter.
To prove second-degree murder, the state would have to show ill will, evil intent, malice, but for the manslaughter with the firearm. You don't have to show intent to kill, just that he did an act that's likely to cause somebody death or great bodily harm.
When the trial begins in October of 2017, the prosecution lays out their theory regarding the events that led up to the shooting.
When they moved back, he was doing more drug deals here than he was in Daytona Beach. She was concerned about her daughter. And I think that with her family nearby, Ms. Dubbins was finally to the point where she said, look, I think I'm done here.
She'd helped him in the past with dealing because it was what they needed to do to provide for her daughter. But now she was in Cocoa with tons of family support and didn't have to live like that.
She'd made a few remarks to her family that made them believe she wasn't as committed to staying in the relationship as much as he was.
She probably just decided to go separate ways. She did love him and care for him. It's just all things aren't perfect.
It looked like she was looking out for him more than he was looking out for her. But he looked like he didn't have anything. She was taking care of him.
You know, I'm buying guns for you. For people come to the house buying drugs. I'm done here.
According to the prosecution's theory, that's what the fight had been about the night before the shooting.
I think she told him she was leaving, or he had to go. And I believe that Dennis went to bed thinking till death do us part. You're not going to leave, and neither am I.
I'm figuring that next morning the argument started back up.
I'm so sick and tired. I can't believe you. You need to leave. You need to leave. You want me to go? Yes, I want to go. Oh, you think I can? You think I can?
Tinka is very strong. She's not going to take nothing off of nobody.
And I believe he put his hands on her. Dennis decided that if I can't be with you, nobody's going to have you. You're not going to take care of no one else. We're going to be together.
I theorized that there was some kind of scuffle between the two of them, but she had no gun in her hand when it came down to facing him.
Instead, prosecutors argued that at some point in the struggle, Dennis pulled out a firearm, one that as a convicted felon he wasn't supposed to have, but had obtained illegally. At that point, he pulled the trigger.
The bullet went in through her shoulder and came out through the lower half of her body, which would typically indicate somebody was standing over the victim, which would have been inconsistent with what he described.
Tanika's daughter also contradicts another of Dennis's claims.
He claims he had never seen the .45 caliber before, and according to the daughter's statement to the police, she had seen him not just in the same room or within presence of the gun, but actually carrying it on his hip for a couple weeks prior to the shooting.
When it's the defense's turn, Dennis's attorneys stick to his self-defense claim.
Prosecutors were pretty confident the jury wouldn't buy that argument, given the fact that Dennis had changed his story to police so many times.
It was truly self-defense. Why not say that up front? Why create this whole DJ story, then claim it was an accident, and then finally end up at self-defense?
They came back with a guilty verdict. The best verdict a family would ever want to hear.
I was happy that they got the bastard. I was so thankful.
He was sentenced to 40 years.
Still, the 40-year sentence will never make up for what Dennis Aviles took from Tanika's family.
She may not meant that much to him, but she meant a lot to us. We lost a cousin, a sister, a friend.
And Tanika's young daughter lost a mother.
That's a hurtful thing. She has to grow up without her. Prom, changes of life, boys. You don't have your mom to call and say, "Hey, Mom, I like this boy. Yeah, what you think?" Although we gained an angel, there's nothing like having that angel here on earth with us so we can continue to share those laughs and those moments, those happy times.
They were a military couple on the rise.
She was a proud Navy wife.
He wanted to be an officer.
He rose up through the ranks and earned his commission.
It was one of the proudest moments I ever had.
But pride turns to horror when he's found dead under mysterious circumstances.
It was difficult for us to determine what led to his death.
He had a problem with alcohol.
And he was also suffering from depression.
We thought it could have been suicide.
Maybe he finally drank himself to death.
Or were other, more sinister forces at play?
Something ugly did happen here.
It was all a plot. It was all a scheme.
Y'all had planned to kill him.
The whole situation was shocking. I felt like I was locked in a bad movie.
He didn't deserve to die like that. It was just an American tragedy.
February 12th, 2014, Orange Park, Florida. It's just past 8:30 a.m. when a 911 call breaks the silence of this quiet Jacksonville suburb.
111, state your emergency.
Hi. I'm here to pick up my husband. When I walked through, I tripped over his feet. And he's like covered under these clothes. He's not answering.
Okay, I'm going to get rescue on the line with us, okay? Stay on the line with me.
The caller is 44-year-old Yolinda Doss.
She appears to be shocked, distraught. She says that when she opened the door to go and check on him, she tripped over his body
breathing or no?
I can't get the touch.
Okay. And is he breathing?
No.
Moments later, first responders arrive at the hotel room.
They were kind of like extended stay hotels. So a lot of people are living there long term.
Over here. Oh my God.
We had a victim in the room that was motionless, lying there.
He was laying on his stomach on the far side of the bed, in between the bed and the wall.
It's Yolinda's husband, 44-year-old Alfonso Doss, a 27-year veteran of the U.S. Navy.
Commander Doss was in good shape, as you would suspect, being in the Navy.
There was nothing outwardly suggesting something had happened to him, but he was unresponsive.
And there's nothing they can do to save him.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
For Mississippi native Alfonso Doss, nothing was more important than family.
He was a good person, and I was very proud to be his father.
He was kind of like my protector, you know what I mean? Like, almost like a hero in a sense. He was actually very loving. He had what I would describe as strong love.
They love their brother. They're crazy about him.
I appreciated the time that he spent with me, teaching me certain things. And those things I still carry with me to this day.
Alfonso was well known for his determination to succeed.
He didn't do many things halfway. He kind of went all the way in or didn't bother with it.
He played football and played quarterback, actually. And he was an honor student.
Alfonso had always strived for excellence, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do in life.
When he was in the 9th grade, he told me that he was going to go into the Navy and he wanted to be a commander, actually.
As far back as I can remember, he always talked about the Navy. It's like he never wavered. It was always the Navy from the very beginning. Like he wanted to serve.
With a dream in his sight, Alfonso knew just who he wanted by his side for it all. Fellow classmate Yolinda Hunter.
They met in the 1st grade, and they 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, all the way through high school together. They knew each other all their lives.
They became romantically involved with each other in high school.
And when graduation came, they knew they'd support each other no matter what.
You gonna be all right without me?
I think I can handle myself. She wanted to go to school, and he wanted to join the Navy, and that was going to require some distance.
But you better not be one of those different girls in every port kind of sailors.
Me? She went off to college to Ross College.
Mr. Doss joined the Navy.
They supported each other in their dreams and made it work.
The couple spent 4 long years apart while Alfonso served his country. Finally, in 1991, after Yolinda received her degree and Alfonso returned from a tour overseas, the couple was reunited.
The wedding was a traditional Southern wedding. It was in a church, and they seemed happy, a good fit.
It wasn't long before Alfonso had another special lady in his life, a daughter named Brianna.
After she was born, he was very proud.
You think she's getting all this?
She's gonna need a jump start if she's gonna make it in Annapolis.
I remember him reaching out to my father and sending us pictures and whatnot, my father talking to him and being excited.
10 years later, in 2001, the Navy transferred Alfonso to Florida, where his family put down roots. Alfonso was well on his way to achieving his dream of becoming an officer.
He had to kind of make himself. He had to go and work hard to achieve what he got.
A lot of good things were going for him. He had a great track record.
He was highly decorated. He had a lot of meritorious awards.
He helped interview Sheikh Mohammed Khalid and got him to admit that he was behind the 9/11 tearing down the Trade Center in New York. He didn't brag about nothing like that. He just kind of more or less like that was his job. And I was proud of him for that, very proud.
He led the interrogation that resulted in valuable information for us to hunt down and capture terrorists for our country.
Over the next decade, while Alfonso served his country, Yolinda focused on their family.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey. Navy wives oftentimes find themselves as the household manager simply because their husbands are off on deployment all the time.
He was gone for long stretches of time, and she remained with her daughter in Jacksonville.
You coming home tonight?
Later, but I'll be home.
Bye, baby.
With her daughter now a teenager, Yolinda took her management skills to the next level and started her own business.
She made t-shirts for sororities, accessories for sororities and fraternities.
She was also getting into selling wigs as well and hair extensions.
Between Yolinda's business and Alfonso's Navy career, the family built a life anyone would envy.
They lived in a fairly upscale neighborhood.
Though for Alfonso, the crowning moment came in September of 2011 when he finally made commander.
He strived for it and he got it, and I was really proud of him for doing that.
They really worked together to live the American dream.
But on the morning of February 12th, 2014, Yolinda and Alfonso's rise comes to a screeching halt.
Okay, my officer said that he's cold to the touch.
Police responded and found Alfonso dead in an extended stay hotel room.
When the original police officers get on scene, they begin to get basic information from Yolinda.
I can't believe he did it.
I can't believe he did what, man?
What they learn is that he was potentially an alcoholic and battling some mental health disorders.
Yolinda told police she thought Alfonso may have taken his own life.
Through hard work, sacrifice, and 27 years of service, 44-year-old Alfonso Doss had risen to the rank of commander in the United States Navy.
He wanted to be in the military, and not only be in the military, but excel in the military, and that he did.
But on the morning of February 12th, 2014, Alfonso was found unresponsive in his hotel room.
His wife Yolinda actually found him, and when EMTs arrived, he was pronounced dead at the scene.
Yolinda was clearly devastated. This was a man she had loved her whole life.
As detectives arrive, Yolinda explains that while Alfonso's life seemed perfect on the outside, inside, he battled demons.
She said he might have committed suicide because he was going through depressions and stuff.
His life has just been such a mess lately.
According to Yolinda, it all started 18 months ago, not long after Alfonso made commander.
He was nearing retirement age, and it looked like he may not promote to the next rank in the Navy, and therefore that led to his drinking.
He was having difficulty with his Navy career because of his alcohol abuse problems.
He was arrested for DUI and been temporarily reassigned at NAS Jacksonville while he received counseling.
He was still in full active duty. However, the Navy had extended him what we call in the civilian world EAP, Employee Assistance Program, where they allow persons that have issues going on, be it mental, physical, or emotional, they can get help.
He was worried about getting out of the Navy with an honorable discharge. And he was going through stuff trying to make sure he could leave honorably.
Yolinda tells detectives that Alfonso's drinking hadn't just caused him problems at work.
She had stated that he was somewhat abusive verbally.
Sweetie, are you okay?
What do you think?
I think you're gonna be okay.
Do you know how hard I work for this house? And they think they're gonna take it away?
He was in a drunken rage, and just the emotional aspect of that, it was ramping up.
That was one of the biggest reasons they separated, and he began living in the hotel.
It was felt that it would be best that he moved out of the home and attend alcohol rehab.
Yolinda says she rented this hotel room for him until he could pull it together.
His Navy pay was going directly to Miss Doss, and so she kind of controlled the money.
She managed the bank accounts, and then she would give out money to him as needed.
Of course, Yolinda was certainly supportive of the alcohol abuse rehabilitation and continued to be as supportive as she could.
According to Yolinda, things had actually started to improve, especially after Alfonso got good news from the Navy.
Since he had been going through the treatment program, the Navy decided that he would receive an honorable discharge, which was scheduled to happen within days.
It really seemed like he was getting better.
But Yolinda says she had a bad feeling when she got a call from the rehab center Tuesday afternoon.
People had called and saying he hadn't shown up.
She said that she had been trying to reach him and hadn't been able to contact him. She left messages, but he didn't return her calls.
Yolinda says she was racked with worry by Wednesday morning, so she had gone to the hotel to check on her husband.
She'd obviously kind of been through the ringer with her husband. I mean, there had been some really extremely high highs, but extremely low lows throughout their relationship.
I just kept calling for him, and I was knocking, and he wouldn't answer the door. And
After getting no answer, Yolinda let herself in the hotel room.
She had a key since she was the one who had rented the room.
Alfonso? Alfonso! Alfonso!
They had been married 23 years at the time of Mr. Doss's death. She was deeply saddened.
Once we had a decent statement on scene from Yolinda Doss, she requested that she could go home.
She wants to get to their 16-year-old daughter and be the one to break the news to her daughter that her father is now deceased.
Yolinda also reaches out to Alfonso's family.
My phone rang, and she said, Hal is dead. And I don't know how I felt, to be honest with you. I had never had that feeling before or since, and really never wanted again.
We were in total shock. Absolute shock.
Though as painful as the news is, it isn't entirely a surprise.
We knew he had some problem, and this was right on the heels of hearing about him reaching out to my father.
He called me on the phone. He said to me, Dad, I'm sick. I've been sick, and I've been going through a lot. And then he started to tell me about the rehab he was going through, and he was getting help.
The idea that he would commit suicide soon after, he just got finished talking to my father. He's about to be talking about retiring, things like that. It didn't make sense.
While the family grieves, detectives begin processing the scene, starting with Alfonso's body.
They couldn't make a determination of death at that particular time because there was nothing obvious that was standing out.
We were going to have to lean on what the medical examiner's office told us. Because he didn't have any really obvious signs of injury.
However, detectives do find evidence of Alfonso's struggle with alcoholism.
We found 2 empty rum bottles that were in the room.
Though other clues at the scene suggest there's more to this story than meets the eye.
There were several things that stuck out in the crime scene, and one of which was all of the drawers were pulled out of the dresser and all of the drawers were pulled out of the nightstands near the bed. Also, we noticed that there was a power cord for a laptop, but no noticeable laptop, and there was no cash in his wallet.
More puzzling is a painting detectives find lying on the bed.
The painting didn't appear to have been removed from any of the walls in the room.
Of course, we're going to want to understand why that is. Why is the painting, out in the open? Why is it on the bed?
Detectives can't rule out the idea of a robbery.
This was an area of extended stay motels with a fairly transient population.
It was an ongoing problem for the Orange Park Police Department. They were there regularly. Right next door, they had a hotel that within years of this was shut down, deemed a public nuisance by the town.
It's a hotel that's right off the interstate. It's easily accessible. And so you're going to have narcotics-related investigations there. And also the arguments and the disputes and the disorderly intoxication calls where, people are drinking and fighting.
The first thought is, well, maybe somebody has gone into the room and committed a burglary.
There's just one problem with that theory.
There was no signs of forced entry. Commander Doss had to let the person into the room, or somehow the person conned their way into the room. So this wasn't just some random act, but somebody who knew Commander Doss, or at least had contact with Commander Doss in the past.
Canvassing the hotel, detectives find a maid who may provide their first lead in the case.
She had seen our victim with what she believed to be a prostitute about a month prior to this incident.
We've always had a large number of military personnel in and out of Jacksonville. Some have short duty stations, some have a longer period of time that they would stay here. So there were reports of possible prostitution in the area.
Could you describe her?
She was skinny. She had long hair.
Was there anything else?
As a matter of fact, there was a guy that was sitting in a parking lot. He would drop her off sometimes.
Well, that piece of information from the housekeeper was vitally important.
Detectives wondered, could he have been the prostitute's protection in case something went wrong?
We knew there might be more to the story as far as who would have, had their hand in killing him.
It's been 24 hours since Commander Alfonso Doss was pronounced dead in his hotel room. While detectives haven't ruled out the idea of a suicide, they can't ignore the signs that there was someone else in the room on the night of his death.
The room looked ransacked. Drawers from both nightstands and the dresser were all pulled out.
Cleaning staff had seen the victim approximately a month prior to this incident with what she believed was a prostitute.
The hotel maid also mentioned the prostitute was always accompanied by a man, possibly her pimp.
Hoping to identify the pair, detectives pull the hotel's security footage.
There was video surveillance from the hotel that covered the lobby and the entrance to the parking lot.
Reviewing the footage, detectives discover that the alleged prostitute had been to the hotel on Monday night, less than 36 hours before Yolinda found Alfonso dead in his room.
However, there were no cameras covering Alfonso's room, so detectives had no idea if that was where they went.
When detectives receive the results of Alfonso's autopsy finding, the pair becomes an even greater priority.
He had a fractured hyoid bone in his throat, and basically that is very indicative of manual strangulation.
The autopsy report confirms their suspicions that this is a homicide.
It's not easy to strangle someone. You'd have to be strong to take them down.
Anytime anybody is strangled, they're realizing they're going to die, and they're trying to fight as much as they can.
Mr. Doss was in good shape, about 6 feet tall, and a Navy man, so very capable of defending himself.
He was attacked by somebody who was more powerful than him.
And right now, the only person on their radar who could have done that was the man that the hotel maid described waiting outside while a prostitute visited Commander Doss's room.
According to the report, Alfonso died on Monday the 10th, the same day hotel cameras caught the prostitute visiting the hotel.
They couldn't specify the exact time during that day, but they believed it was the 10th.
Detectives thought that Alfonso might have had a date with that prostitute, and if he had been drinking and became abusive, her handler might have intervened.
As police search for the prostitute and her associate, detectives bring in Yolinda to give her the news.
When the police got the autopsy report back, they make a decision to tell Yolinda how he died.
When we informed her that her husband was killed due to manual strangulation, her reaction was surprise.
In spite of the shocking news, detectives try to gain more insight into Alfonso's behavior in the days leading up to his death.
We're going to probably rehash a lot of the stuff we already talked about, okay? We're going to kind of talk to you about your relationship with your husband and what's been going on with in the last year or so. Does he bank account?
No, I mean, we have accounts together, but I eventually just put me on them because I did not want him to
go into the use much money.
She says that I gave him $500 not very long ago. I know he had money.
Did you ever know him to use prostitutes?
I just don't know.
Throughout their marriage, and I think at most of his deployments, there was always suspicions that he was carrying on affairs wherever he went.
Anything, I mean, when he was deployed or stationed anywhere, any reason for him to believe that you would cheat?
Now, I have male friends, I have female friends, but never have I. No.
She emphatically said, no, I would never cheat on him. We have a child together. I wouldn't do that.
She cared for her husband a great deal.
She stated that she was faithful to Mr. Doss and was trying to work the relationship out.
With no new leads from Yolinda, detectives decide to let the grieving widow go.
Well, if there's anything we can do for you, I have to give us a call.
Thank you.
Well,
The next day, detectives meet with Alfonso's father, who was still struggling to process the news of his son's death.
It's hard to explain. I just talked to him 3 weeks earlier, telling him how proud I was of him.
The news that Alfonso was murdered hits the family especially hard.
To find out that he would die this way, that was very shocking.
It was a devastating thing. It still is. You never think that this would happen. And the type person Al was, I mean, who would want to murder him?
When asked about Alfonso's relationship with Yolinda, his father says there was no real cause for concern, despite all the drama his son's drinking had caused.
He had moved into the hotel, and he was talking to me as if though he thought she and he could get back together at some point.
His family had no reason to believe Yolinda had anything to do with this.
However, Tom believes there is someone close to his daughter-in-law worth looking into.
He believed that it might be possible that Yolinda Doss's father was involved.
Yolinda's dad had previously done time for attempted murder.
That was very interesting because your father has done the very thing that they were investigating.
Detective Monroe, he said, wow, basically, wow, you can't make this kind of stuff up.
48 hours after Commander Alfonso Doss was found murdered in his hotel room, the entire city of Jacksonville is alerted of the news.
People were upset because it is a big military town. You see this military man, his photo plastered on TV and his dress blues there, and he's been killed in a hotel room. That upset the community a lot. They were outraged that he was dead.
As the community grieves, detectives zero in on a possible suspect, Alfonso's father-in-law.
Detectives have just learned Yolinda's father had been part of a murder plot almost 15 years earlier.
Yolinda Doss's father had been involved with a woman who was married and actually went into the hospital where this man was being treated for other injuries and attempted to put insulin into his IV.
Her father was convicted of attempted murder and was sentenced and served time for it.
Now detectives wonder, could Yolinda's father have struck again?
I thought he had killed my son for his daughter, or had it done. He's that kind of guy. Maybe he and some other person got together and killed my son.
To find out, detectives go to the source.
We spoke to him over the phone, and we got a little bit of basic information with regards to what vehicles he drives, what he does, where he lives.
Yolinda's father lived in Memphis, which is where he claimed he was at the time of Alfonso's murder.
Detectives aren't about to take his word for it, though. Instead, they pull his phone records.
We used cell phone records to help us find the location of where his phone was during this homicide.
But it's another dead end.
Based upon phone records, he was not in town during the time of this homicide.
With the alleged prostitute and her associate the only potential suspects remaining, detectives focus their efforts on identifying the pair.
We began going through Alfonso's cell phone records, looking for phone calls that he had made, text messages that he had received or sent.
And they found two women that he had been in conversation with from time to time.
One woman is 31-year-old Ramona Sykes.
We identified that she had called his phone several times preceding his death. And so, of course, having that information, we had to track her down and talk to her in person.
That day, detectives bring Ramona in for questioning.
Ms. Sykes, we have a few questions about Alfonso Doss.
Who?
She denied knowing Commander Doss. So they continue to talk to her and they press her.
Ms. Sykes, don't lie to us. We have your phone records.
Ramona Sykes was reluctant to speak with us because she was a little bit leery of police officers and detectives and had a past of, dealing with law enforcement.
Put on the spot by detectives, Ramona admits to knowing Alfonso, but says she had only met him once.
Mr. Doss was visiting a hospital in Jacksonville, and Ramona Sykes was in there as a patient, but was being discharged and leaving. They just so happened to cross paths, and Doss saw her, flirted with her, and said maybe we should hang out sometime.
We met. We hit it off. He thought we should hang out. So he gave me his number. I called him a few times, left a few voicemails. I never heard anything back.
Ramona explained to us that they had the initial conversation about hanging out, and then they never actually met up.
Though that's what Ramona claims, detectives can't be sure.
Ramona didn't have an alibi for Monday night, so detectives were unable to rule her out at that point.
While detectives continue looking into Ramona, they also get in touch with the other woman revealed in Alfonso's phone records, 38-year-old Tisha Adams.
They had a number of phone calls placed back and forth prior to the victim's death. So we reached out to her to see if we could sit down and explain the relationship.
When she comes in for an interview with detectives, Tisha seems surprised to hear that Alfonso is dead.
We didn't provide too many details of the manner of his death because we didn't know if she was a suspect in the case or what her involvement in the case was. But she indicated that she was sad that he had passed away because he was a nice man.
How did you two meet?
We were in counseling together.
She indicated that the relationship was just a mutual friendship. Occasionally, Tisha Adams would come visit Mr. Doss at his hotel room.
Any particular reason why you called him so frequently before he died?
Well, he took a painting of mine.
This was very interesting to us because we found that painting on his bed in his hotel room.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. I've been trying to get that back, but...
She said, I didn't want him to take it, but he took it anyway.
Her story lined up, and she had an alibi for the night of the murder, so there was no reason for detectives to hold her.
While keeping a close eye on Tisha and Ramona, detectives returned to the crime scene.
We began to look for security cameras from any vantage point we could in that particular area.
The hotel's cameras only covered the lobby and the entrance to the parking lot.
Mr. Doss's hotel room faced Eldridge Avenue, which is a road just outside of the hotel. But what we found was that there was a security company across the street who had their video surveillance capabilities displayed on the front of their business, and that particular video camera faced directly at the victim's hotel room.
Detectives obtained the footage from Monday the 10th, the day they believe Alfonso was murdered, and several days prior.
We were looking for any pattern of the victim, when he came from his room, when he left his room, who visited him, that sort of thing.
The footage doesn't reveal anything of interest until the evening of the 10th, according to the autopsy, roughly the time that Alfonso died.
We were able to find a pickup truck that pulls near the hotel room of the victim, and we can see two individuals exit the vehicle and walk over towards the victim's room.
The distance is too great to make out much detail.
You couldn't make out individual characteristics, but what stuck out to us about the two individuals is one appears to be much, much larger than the other one. And we can see that those two individuals used key cards and accessed that room.
About a half hour later, Commander Doss comes in.
You can see him on camera entering the hotel room, and then the door shuts behind him.
He goes into his room, and that's the last time they saw Commander Doss alive.
He had no idea he was walking into a trap.
Detectives are investigating the murder of U.S. Navy Commander Alfonso Doss. After reviewing neighboring surveillance videos, they have just discovered what appears to be footage of his killers entering his hotel room.
Looking at the surveillance video, they see this truck come up with two men inside, and now they want to know who these two men are.
Investigators wondered, were they friends of Alfonso, or was this just some coincidence?
The footage is too far away for detectives to be able to make a positive ID. But one of the suspects definitely stands out.
When we discovered these individuals on the video surveillance, one was much, much larger than the other one.
Detectives believe they were, without a doubt, looking at the man who had overpowered Alfonso and choked him to death.
But who is he? Hoping for some insight, detectives once again circle back to Alfonso's widow, Yolinda.
Can you give me any insight as to who, or anything, any hints, clues, anything you think could lead us in the right direction?
I can't imagine. No.
But just when it seems that Yolinda can offer no new information, she makes a shocking admission.
All of a sudden informed us that not only did she have a business partner, but that they were more than business partners and had a romantic relationship.
Yolinda explained that she didn't bring him up previously because the thought of him somehow being involved had never even crossed her mind.
Yolinda's partner is local security guard Anthony Washington.
Anthony Washington worked security at her daughter's school. That's how she met him.
Yolinda explains Anthony had started helping her out with her business recently.
He worked for you and Al, or how?
Well, technically, because the businesses were mine and Al's business. So
he was kind of like an employee, or was he a partner? Or?
It depends on how you look at it. More or less an employee.
She had a lot of boxes for traveling to these trade shows. So she needed employees that could help her, that hopefully wouldn't charge her too much. So I think that that's where Anthony Washington came in.
As her husband slipped deeper and deeper into alcoholism, Yolinda says that Anthony had stepped in to fill the void.
Her husband really wasn't being a husband to her. They really had kind of become disconnected because of his alcoholism, and she was lonely.
I think she welcomed the fact that someone was nice to her, and he was very nice to her, and he cared for her.
But now detectives wonder if Anthony had done more than just care for Yolinda.
The investigators press her and ask, would he want to harm Commander Doss?
Kind of like the bad boy type of thing, right?
No, he's a sweet guy, really sweet.
So he's never in trouble or anything like that? Never been. What does, just out of curiosity, what's Anthony drive?
He's driving a rental.
What kind of?
Enterprise. Yes, it's a Dodge.
Still suspicious of Anthony, detectives don't reveal everything they know to Yolinda. And the next morning, they bring Anthony in for questioning.
When I met with Anthony Washington, he was very polite.
Anthony Washington, even though he was a giant of a man, was actually kind of soft-spoken. He wasn't like a vicious type person. He just seemed like a lighthearted kind of guy.
But physically, he is a perfect match for the man in the surveillance video.
Anthony Washington stood, I believe, 6'7" and weighed 365 pounds.
From what I understand, you and Yolanda are kind of a thing right now?
Yeah. I said intimacy has been that long, maybe it's about 6 months.
So it's not serious? There's no
It's not a relationship. It's not like, you my girlfriend, I'm your boyfriend, you can't see nobody.
He didn't refer to it as a love relationship. It was more of like a friends with benefits type of situation.
Now, let me ask you this question. Most men, not all men, most men are jealous creatures. Did Al know about you guys, more or less? Or did...
Well, he never confronted me. Yeah, he never, I mean, he always accused her but that was funny, only when he was drinking.
Anthony believed that he'd been abusive to Yolanda.
What kind of problems were they having?
Just his drinking, it's abusive and it's all of that, he can't control his anger. That's mainly it. The drinking started everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they had their problems, but I had my own. So just in general, I let their problems stay their problems.
He denies he would have anything to do with his death.
He also offers up an alibi. His friend, Ronnie Wilson.
When we ask Anthony Washington where he is the day of the homicide, he says that Ronnie Wilson is with him the majority of the day, that they went to the gym together, that they were at his parents' house together.
The next day, when detectives follow up with 32-year-old Ronnie Wilson, he confirms Anthony's story.
He explains to us, much like Anthony Washington, that they were together that day, that they went to the gym, that they were at Anthony Washington's parents' house, as well as later that evening, they went shot pool.
We go back to the house too. Whose house? Went back to Yolanda's? Or no, back to Anthony's?
Detectives suspected that there was something that both Anthony and Ronnie were leaving out.
Anthony Washington was just a very, very large guy, and Ronnie Wilson was a much smaller in stature. So standing next to each other, they looked very much like the people on the video surveillance.
But when detectives asked Ronnie what kind of car he drove, he denied owning a car at all.
All but convinced Anthony and Ronnie are the two men in the surveillance video, detectives contact Anthony's parents about his alibi.
The day of the homicide, Anthony Washington had stated that he was at his parents' house, so we wanted to verify that with them. They didn't remember for sure.
Anthony's alibi was suddenly looking a little shaky.
However, that's not the only thing his parents tell detectives.
The family confirms that he does have a truck that he drives from time to time.
They had on and off allowed Anthony Washington to use the pickup truck for hauling things for Yolanda's company. And in fact, when we reviewed the video surveillance, this description of this truck matched with the vehicle that we saw.
Detectives believe that they've found Alfonso's killers. They just needed to prove it.
Both of them claim that they were actually at a gym working out about the time the murder occurred.
Detectives pulled the men's phone records to compare against their alibi.
So we were able to look at those records and establish that that really was not true.
Their phone records indicated that they were near the hotel.
Detectives decide it's time to apply a little pressure.
They go back to Anthony after they looked into his phone records.
We watched the surveillance video. All right, if you were the last people to see him on this earth, still alive, and you got a lot of explaining to do.
We moved into our interview with Anthony Washington with all the evidence that we'd put together against Anthony Washington, which in my personal opinion was just a preponderance of evidence against him that he would have to explain. And we didn't believe he would be able to explain his way out of all of the facts that we learned about the case.
Once the questions start, it's clear he can't.
Anthony Washington's mannerisms were very nervous, sweating, dry mouth. We could tell that he was about ready to tell us the truth about what happened.
We're real close here, but there's still something left that you got to explain to me. All right, and you got to explain to me.
Well, that's where I know what I did.
Okay.
And I didn't do anything besides scared of living Jesus out of it.
Put on the spot by detectives, Anthony Washington has just admitted to being at the hotel on the night of Alfonso Das's murder.
After he decided that there was no more denying his involvement in this case, he said, all right, let me tell you what happened. And he begins to paint his side of coming to the hotel.
He said he went with Ronnie Wilson to the hotel room just to scare or to talk to Commander Doss.
When you guys had that scare tactic that you guys talked about, you and Ronnie probably discussed it a little bit. Can you tell me what went on in that conversation?
Trying to go in and scare this man.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There wasn't no plan of action. I'm going and let him know what his options are.
And according to Anthony, it wasn't his idea to confront Alfonso.
He admits that Commander Doss's wife, Yolinda, was the mastermind behind the whole thing.
Yolinda Doss was having a tumultuous relationship with Alfonso Doss. And Yolinda Doss would tell Anthony Washington that Alfonso Doss would drink a lot, and when he would drink, he'd make threats.
No. Sick of it.
Baby, what's wrong?
I cannot take this any longer. I cannot take this.
I know, baby. Look, I know.
I need you. I need you to do something about it.
Anthony Washington tells us that they came up with a plan to sneak into his hotel room.
I got you.
Anthony tells detectives that he recruited his friend, Ronnie Wilson, to help. And on the evening of February 10th, they drove to Alfonso's hotel in his father's truck.
They entered the hotel room with the key cards that Yolinda Doss had provided.
When Alfonso came in, some 30 minutes later, they caught him completely off guard.
The way he described it to the police was that Commander Doss just kind of lunged at him.
Anthony Washington says that Alfonso Doss goes to throw a punch or lunge at Anthony Washington and that he actually catches him by his neck.
And I caught him in mid-air. I mean, you shook my hand before.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, I know, man.
He claims that he was defending himself.
He described holding him up in the air by his neck. And he was a much bigger man than Alfonso Dawson. And he picked him up in the air by the throat and then threw him on the ground.
For the whole time, he was gurgling me. That was it.
Let's get the hell out of here, man. Let's go.
Okay, let me ask this. What do you... Did it cross your mind to call maybe for like rescue or something, or was y'all?
I figured he was drunk. I ain't even thinking nothing about it. And I definitely think that nothing we had, nothing we did had to do with this, because I knew he was dealing with, whatever he was dealing with.
Anthony Washington may have left, not knowing there was any problem with Alfonso Doss.
While that's what Anthony claims, it makes little difference to detectives.
Yolinda Doss, Anthony Washington, and Ronnie Wilson were arrested on second-degree murder charges.
News of Yolinda's arrest stuns Alfonso's family.
Yolanda was my daughter that I didn't have, She called me dad, and I was just surprised and shocked and brokenhearted that she would kill my son.
I can't wrap my mind around what would cause you to sit down and plan someone's murder, your husband's murder, the father of your daughter.
After her arrest, detectives sit down with Yolinda for a final time. She admits to sending Anthony and his friend to her husband's room that night, but nothing else.
She asked Anthony Washington to intercede for her and talk to her husband about his behavior. And so when her husband was killed, that was totally unexpected to Mrs. Doss.
Did you know that they were going to go there and kill your husband?
Detectives don't buy it for a minute.
You just can't look at us and tell us you won't say that you sent them boys over there to kill your husband. I believe you did.
Why couldn't you just go and knock on the door and say, hey, you need to stay away from my girlfriend? They weren't there just to threaten him or scare him. They were there to kill him.
And detectives think they know why.
Here's another thing we haven't even touched on yet, all right? The life insurance policy.
As a Navy veteran, Alfonso was worth more to Yolinda dead than alive.
He has $1 million life insurance policy.
With Alfonso's discharge just weeks away, the clock was ticking.
Insurance was a very, very big motive. It was the reason we believe this murder took place.
In September of 2016, the trial begins for Anthony Washington.
Prosecutors tried Anthony first because the surveillance video combined with his confession gave them the strongest case.
He was convicted at trial of first-degree murder and burglary, and he was sentenced to life in prison.
I'm glad he got life without parole.
He deserves whatever he gets while he's in jail.
Ronnie Wilson, on the other hand, cuts a deal and pleads guilty to accessory after the fact.
He only served 4 years in prison and is currently out and on probation.
It's a bitter disappointment for Alfonso's family.
Ronnie Wilson should have done almost as much as Washington is doing.
With no evidence to support Yolinda's abuse claims against Alfonso, she sees the writing on the wall and follows Ronnie's lead.
Yolinda Doss was allowed to plead to manslaughter and received 12 years in prison. Would I, as a prosecutor, have wished that she had gotten more time? Yes. But even though we believe that Yolinda Doss was the mastermind behind this, we could not connect that she got Anthony Washington to go out there and kill Commander Doss.
Despite their desire to see Yolinda punished, Alfonso's family didn't oppose the plea deal.
I didn't want my granddaughter to be without a mother. She was already without a father.
The death of the decorated Navy commander isn't just a loss for his family. It's also a loss for the entire nation.
Looking at what he did in his career and for someone decorated like himself to end that way, it's horrible.
I want the world to know that he was a great son, he was smart, he was handsome, he was funny, and I wish the whole world knew him.
I loved him dearly. He was my hero. He's a genuine hero. That's just who he was.